Hi everybody and welcome to Midnight Spook Show. I wanted to make a video that explained my very first paranormal experience. So you can kind of understand where it all started. Throughout this video you may see one of three dogs. This is Marilyn. She is excited to be here, and I have another one right here, Haley, but she's not in frame. She'll probably punch me the entire time I'm making this video. If you hear them breathing and whatever, just ignore it. The first experience that I had, I was either 2 or 3 years old, somewhere in between there. And I was living with my parents, my mom and my dad, and at the time I was an only child. My brother wasn't born for another 2 years. So, something that I used to do all the time when I was little, I would fall asleep in front of the TV watching my favorite movie ever, The Wizard of Oz. And this was something that happened frequently. So what would happen is I would fall asleep, and whenever my parents would go to bed, they would just put me into my bed and they'd go to bed themselves. So this was one of those typical nights where I must have been watching The Wizard of Oz and I fell asleep in front of the TV. I had woken up. I have no idea what time it was because as a 2-year-old you just don't know how to tell time. But when I woke up, the room was completely black. I couldn't see a thing at all. I couldn't even see what was right in front of my face. The only thing that I could see was the moonlight that was shining through the window, which was right behind me. And it was behind the couch. So when I turned around, I had seen that my dad was laying on the couch. So I started to walk towards him to wake him up to say, you know, come tuck me in, I want to go to bed. He was kind of laying like, you know how whenever you lay and you're like this, but you know, the rest of your body's out. That's how he was laying on the couch, just like staring at me. So I started walking over and he stood up, or he sat up, I should say. And all I can see is his silhouette in the moonlight coming from the window behind him. And this wasn't my dad. I could tell right away that this person did not have the same physique as my dad. This person was very physically built. So like large protruding muscles like from the shoulders, and I could see the shape of his head, which was pretty large. The thing that stood out the most to me though, it was that his shadow had horns. So I guess what some people would typically say would be like a figure of a demon. As I got closer, I guess I realized that it wasn't my dad, but there was nothing inside of me that said like, you shouldn't be talking to this thing or whatever. It gave me no negative feeling at all. And it just sat and stared at me. And it had a very strong male presence. So, I didn't think anything of it for some reason, but it started talking to me and basically saying that my dad was downstairs in the basement. So as soon as I followed this thing through the kitchen, we had gotten to the basement door and realized that I wasn't tall enough to reach the doorknob. So this thing just proceeded to open the door for me. And he said, you know, as soon as you get down to the stairs, your dad will be there and you can just go to bed then. And I believed him. So I think I don't remember if I walked or if I like slid down the stairs on my ass. You know how you do that when you're little. But the next thing I know, I am standing at the foot of the stairs. There's no lights on down there, and it's especially dark because it's the basement, and I don't think that we had any windows down there. As soon as I got downstairs though, I realized that my dad was nowhere to be found. And I just had this overwhelming feeling that whatever this thing was that led me to the basement had really bad intentions. And it hit me all at once, so I was terrified. I didn't know what to do. And as a typical 2-year-old, I started screaming and crying and freaking out, calling for my mom and my dad. There was probably a few minutes that passed, and I can hear my dad running, and he came straight down the stairs. He turned on the light and seen that I was just standing at the bottom of the stairs freaking out. So this is a part that I don't remember myself. This was told to me by my dad actually just a few years ago, because I finally brought it up and asked him about it. But he had said that on this particular night, he had put me to bed already. And him and my mom were both in bed themselves. So he has no idea how I would have gotten out of my bed. My door was normally shut, and there was just no way that I could have opened the door by myself to let me out into the living room. So whatever this thing was, it somehow had to get me from my bedroom to the living room without my parents knowing. And that alone, like, really freaks me out. I would have to say that this was probably one of my scariest experiences. Although I was too, you know, a lot of people will say that over the years your memory fades and you just kind of make up things that you think you remember, but they might not have actually happened. Well, I remember this like it was yesterday. So I just wanted to thank you for watching, and I thought that I would give you a little peek into how all of this started. I wish that I could say that this was my last encounter with this entity. I haven't necessarily determined what I classify this thing as, but it did make a reappearance throughout my childhood. Those are stories that I will be getting into at a later time. And if you are interested in the paranormal, I love meeting other people and hearing their experiences as well. So hopefully I can hear from you. And if you're interested to hear more of my paranormal stories, then you can just go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I will see you soon. Thanks for watching.